Woohoo!
So welcome to Friday happy hour from the Coaching Collective.
Friday.
Friday.
Happy hour.
Happy hour. What are y'all drinking? I already drank my Pellegrino. I have a lime left at the bottom of my glass.
And my hot water.
Wow. What are you drinking?
I put it in
You
my.
didn't even have time to get a drink.
You didn't.
We're
That's
just
okay.
happy all the hours of the day anyway. We don't need alcohol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just out saving people in the field.
But I'm so excited because I love bringing on, so we talked about coaching and certifications and how sometimes that can be, people have mixed emotions about whether or not you're certified, but it's like some people just have the experience and they're not certified. And some people who are certified have not as much experience as someone who has more experience.
For coaching certifications?
Coaching certifications, yeah.
Yeah, well, we were talking about some other can we share the certifications that you have?
Yeah.
All these crazy what are they? Medical?
My certifications are outdoors. I'm started as outdoor confidence coach. So certified free diver, scuba diver, rock climber, CPR, certified lifeguard. Now I'm getting certified for the backcountry wilderness first responder, certified as axe thrower, and
certified axe thrower is my favorite.
I know. Be certified for that.
I can see why it's important. I mean, the Vikings didn't have certifications back in the day, I guess.
Yeah.
Now it's really common entertainment.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But
well, I'll tell you for sure. And I know that coaching certifications are all over the place, but if I'm going to be responded to, the first person that responds to me after an accident, I would love it if they were certified. It's like if you're bleeding or something. And, that's actually a good point because let's talk about that. What do you think about that, Bethany?
Well, I think it depends on the type of coach, right? Obviously, when it comes to health stuff, you want somebody who, especially when it comes to a wound or something, they know how to take care of that wound, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of important. But then I think of other types of coaching, for example, with energy work and consciousness. And, I think people don't necessarily have to be certified for those types of things. I think some people just come by it naturally, or they've just had a lot of experience, or, whatever. So that's my take on it, right? So I think it depends on the type of coaching and what you're actually doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And there are certifications that probably don't really mean much too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's for sure. And it's becoming much more prevalent today.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really important that if you're going to be leading someone, you need to have some kind of leadership underneath your belt.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes, when you're doing coaching, if you're going from point A to point B, something emotionally always comes up. So, but that's what I love about the Coaching Collective. We have this incredible, program with all these coaches that pretty much has an umbrella for all our clients. So if we feel like we're not able to handle or it's not appropriate for us, we can just refer them and put them in the best hands with someone that could really assist them on that journey, which I love.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I love that you said that, because that's one of the things why we started to do this, is we wanted to have people that, that we trusted, that we know whether they're certified or not, speaking of certifications, that they actually get results. They do an amazing job because we've either worked with them or we just, we know them personally or whatever. So yeah. And sorry, Michelle, what were you going to say?
I was just thinking how it depends on what the desired outcome is. Sometimes you really need someone in a specific niche, right? I'm interested in this strength training for women over 40 or over 50, or And that's a whole different thing. So it's really helpful to be with someone that really is educated. And yet my overall definition of coaching, there's so much crossover really, but a true coach is really someone that is not directing. They're drawing out from you the truth about who you already are and the strength and the decisions. So, but that being said, like if it's a football coach, there are different, so it's really a style of working with someone, and it can be really helpful to have someone in the right niche, but there's just so many variables. I think people get that, and you kind of know where you want to go, hopefully. If not,
well, I think it's a good point. People don't know where they're going or even where to start. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I think about when I first got my coach, I was just hell bent on getting into real estate. I want to be a real estate investor. I probably should have had some financial background prior to that. I probably should have worked through like my limiting beliefs. I probably should have worked through my unhealthy relationship with money, all those things that led up to it, because essentially I paid a fortune for this real estate program and I had to go all the way back to take care of some inner work.
That's a really good point too, because I think a lot of times, and this is one of the things that we all came together with was, coaches that just try to sell anybody on their package, whether they are ready for it or not, right? When sometimes they might need some other program first or some other knowledge or whatever the case may be first, and then they'll be ready for that program. Or maybe that program is never right for them, depending on what they're doing. And I think that was one of the other things that's really important, to kind of look at, so that people aren't being, taken advantage of and, spending money with, coaches that they don't actually require their information or,
Yeah, I agree with that. Sometimes we get in these moments where we're in your funnel. Your marketing's hot. You're pulling on all our emotions. And to maybe stop there for a minute and look at the big picture. Like, this is why I love mentors or score.com, is like, you have people like us where you have a free 30-minute phone call who we're like fiduciaries. We're going to tell you the truth. Like, this is what we know from our experience. And of course, we can only share what we've experienced, which is so beautiful about all three of us, because we have such a wide array of backgrounds with business and, spirituality and alignment and health, and me with outdoor confidence and stuff like that. But you end up buying something you don't necessarily need. And it maybe, if you do need it, may not be the right time.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that could all be so avoided with one phone call.
Yes. Well, and that's what's really cool about what we're doing too, because people can actually schedule with us to talk to us about that. And really like, we can kind of figure out what it is that they're really looking for, what they need, and match them up with somebody that will work for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of a unique thing. I don't know anybody else that's doing that.
Yeah. And then the
like
fact
pretty,
that we have
pretty much everybody else, they just go directly to that coach rather than coming to like someone else. It's like kind of like a matchmaker, so to speak, right? And if you go directly to that coach, there's nothing wrong with that. However, if they're really good at sales, they might be able to just, sell you. And maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe that's exactly what you need, hopefully, if you're sold, right?
But Michelle, you brought up something so beautiful last night when we were talking about the coaching collective and how coaches come to us. Like, there's this energy, like there is the coaches who are in the collective collectively know the shift that's going on in the world. They're completely conscious of this, and they really stand for the common good. So that is just so special. And I always want to talk about that when we're on these lives, because I think that's what makes us so unique. I mean, we're magnetic because of our services. They're genuine. We have a really strong foundation that we're building off of, and a lot of resources. And the people that are attracted to our services, yeah, we have 3 interviews that we need to do. We all have to be in alignment before this coach comes into the collective, but it just seems to be working out so naturally.
Oh, not out of the sun. Yeah. I was thinking about, I read this article today in Fast Company, and it always cracks me up how like Microsoft's or somebody, this was about Microsoft, but some huge company has finally come to the understanding that like people need people. You know, that was the gist of the article, but it's like this big scientific study has been going on for 3 decades, and we have come to the understanding that people need to touch each other, you know? So this article was about people going back to work. How do we get them back to the office? And they did all these studies and surveys and everything. It's like, surprisingly, the driving force is that they miss each other. They miss seeing their comrades and their coworkers. It cracked me up. But in thinking that, at the same time, I know that there are some really great, super successful, big name coaches that right now, because it's such a popular thing, they're offering crazy programs for nothing, no fee, right? You can just show up like every week or whatever and be in the Facebook group and all this stuff. So I've attended some of those calls to see like what is the vibe there and what is the value. And I've been thinking about this a lot, that truly back to the collective, it's so much about intimate connection and creating the collective based on your energy and your consciousness. And that's what we really are about, is how do we create this platform where people, you come in as you are and you get the deeper connection, so that it's not just this academic presentation of possibility, but it's very experiential and you get to develop deep relationships. And I think that's what we're all looking for: connection and collective energy. And so, yeah, it was a funny thing today.
Yeah.
Having community.
God, it's so sunny.
Or would you just say, Tiffany?
Oh, I said community is so important. And we have a community that is constantly elevating their consciousness, constantly expanding yourself. It's contagious. It's going to pour into you no matter. And that's what I love about seeing the results that people get when they join environments like this, join communities like this. It's amazing how much you can grow.
Yes.
And sometimes you join this community. Wow, I didn't realize how stuck I've been, how stagnant I've been. And I love the new awarenesses that you can bring into someone's life. To me, that's
and I know we've talked about this before, but it's really like the whole idea of like the lone wolf is over, right? Like, and I think if anything over the last couple of years, if we learned anything, we learned that like connection is everything, and that we need each other, and that we actually thrive working together.
Big time. Big time.
You can move so much more quickly. Like you said, you can't see in the areas where you're blind. Like that's what it means, right? Blind means you can't see. Yeah. But with other people, we're given that gift, you know, all of the good, the bad, like everything about who we are. It's an opportunity to express that and have it mirrored back and see where you can serve. And like you were talking about value earlier before we came on, I think that's how people really learn what their true value is, by interacting with other people and finding out, oh my gosh, I had this happen in one of my coaching groups the other day, a small group that I have. Gosh, you guys, I love Colorado sun, but and this woman was like, oh my gosh, I was in the group and I presented something I was really nervous about. And she was just appalled. She's like, everyone loved it. I just didn't know I could do that. And how many years can you spend wondering, like to your point earlier, Tiffany, of like, how long does it really take where you're going to bet on yourself and be like, yeah, this is what I really want to do. You might not even know until you're in a group.
Right.
And people are saying, I noticed this about you. Like, you really make a difference to me.
Yes. Well, Michelle, we kind of experienced that even the other day when we, had we'll call it our little coaching session for each other, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, we ended up off the phone, like getting off the phone, both just re-energized and like feeling amazing about, what was to come and like where we were heading and the things that we were doing. And it was like, if you took a look at from, the beginning of the call where it was like, this resistance, to the end of the call, it was like, wow. And all it was just us connecting together and being open and vulnerable with what was going on in our lives. Right.
Yes.
Like, that's so huge. And it seems so hard and scary in your head, but then when you actually do it and you have these amazing breakthroughs and results, and you get closer to the actual vision, right, that you're looking for, that is possible. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And that really wasn't that hard.
Yeah. And that's why, like, that article I was reading, I'm making fun of it, but it's actually really important and wonderful that big corporate environment they're finally recognizing this. Like, this is what matters. Connection matters. I mean, it's so obvious to anyone who is alive that those moments at the water cooler or whatever, but it is a new paradigm, and we've been covering up. It's been so much about like, how long can I cover up the truth of my pain when you just share it with someone? Yeah. Tiffany has this octopus thing. Talk about the octopus. Okay, the sun is going down, you guys. Ooh, now I should really eat my lime or something, since I'm not drinking tonight. Okay, once upon a time, there was an octopus.
Once upon a time, there was an octopus on Tiffany's face.
On Tiffany's face. What she's trying to say is there are areas that you are unaware of that are harming you. Go ahead. Talk.
I know that this is here, right? I know it's here because it stops me. I'll look in the mirror and I'll be like, oh gosh, my body. Oh, I feel stupid, blah, blah, blah. All these little limiting, silly things surface. And I go, okay, I know you're there. So I'm just going to kind of ignore you for a little bit. Can you get down, please, Jillian? I'm doing it live. And then you get a coach, and a coach is like, well, this and that and that and that. And did you realize you're carrying this the entire time? And you're like, oh shit, it all makes sense. Sorry, I'm here with my son. But value, like, the thing is, like, how do you even get someone to have that value within themselves, to even take that time to remove those, have a good coach to remove those tentacles off your face?
Well, if it's a really good coach, or if you're in a really great group, you figure it out. Like, that's when it really is powerful, where they aren't telling you, but you're just like, whoa. And isn't it, because it's so funny how many times we can be told something and we don't hear it. Mm-hmm. We don't see it. We just, until we see it, and then we see it. And being in a group really does accelerate that process.
It does.
Well, and you don't want to,
the collective speeds it up. Sorry, go ahead.
You don't want to wait for a shitty moment to happen in your life for you to wake up to that reality. You know what I mean? You don't want to lose that partner, lose that relationship with your child, or lose that job, or not take care of yourself and become unhealthy. And that's just it. Like, most of the people, unfortunately, wait till something really horrible happens in their life to start bringing, like, okay, I need to make some changes here.
Right.
Like, it's an alcoholic who falls down and realizes, if I don't stop drinking, I'm going to die.
Yeah. We're motivated by pain. Sure.
Yeah. So what if we were motivated by excitement and happiness?
Yes.
Like, a novel idea.
Oh my gosh, that has actually been, that's the thing that we've been talking about this whole time is play, right?
Yeah.
And then it keeps coming up in my world about talking about really celebrating your wins in your life, no matter how small they are. Because think about it, if you start celebrating even the smallest thing, like, I don't know, there's so many things you could celebrate each day on even on the smallest level. And think about how that's going to like add up to where all of a sudden things are going to start feeling exciting for you, like without trying, without really having to notice, oh wait, what should I be celebrating today? What was good about today? It's like, it's going to just start adding up and you're going to be like, today's amazing. I don't even know why. It doesn't even matter. Like, it's just amazing. And I can celebrate today.
And it's celebrate failed. I freaking love failing. I love failing because when I'm failing, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing some hard shit.
I'm learning. It's not failing. It's learning.
Exactly.
And it's learning and succeeding and learning and succeeding. And the problem is we label it failing and then we think we have to feel pain.
Yeah.
Really flourishing. That's all it really is. Yeah.
So it's so much more fun to play with it and just like have fun even with your failures, and and then it makes it easier to turn things around too, because you're not stuck in that heaviness or that problem mentality, right?
Do you guys want to share some like breakthroughs or anecdotes or something around that? From our lives, stories that people might be able to relate to, like something that has happened where a coaching experience, served us.
Yeah.
Or where you've served or where you've witnessed it with a client or something, just like something.
Do you have a story in mind, Michelle? Maybe it'll like spark, because I know I've got so many stories. I'm trying to think specifically.
Not yet, no.
Yeah.
I mean, every day is a story. I'll tell you something I'm doing that's because I've been really struggling with, like, I have created a very, very disciplined life out of necessity. Like when I had a really low bottom a number of years ago. And so for like, I don't know, 6 years, I get up early. I do a very disciplined morning routine. I do that whole thing, right? And then I'd be like at the gym by 6:30, already have done all my meditation and goals and all this stuff. Very disciplined in a way that was really, really empowering for me. And it literally enabled me to not only get through a serious traumatic experience, but to then get to a place where I felt like I was thriving and changing and all this. And then a very disciplined evening, and like I didn't drink for years and I didn't eat sugar, and I was just really regimented because I needed to be. And that is not working for me. As you know, I've been out drinking like alcohol, which is not normal for me. But I've been feeling bad about it. Like, why is this tool that has been so helpful not working? And what I started to do was just be more playful with it. So instead of like journaling like diligently and doing all my stuff and my writing down my goals and all that stuff that I did, I just am like doodling. I'm just like, okay, at the end of the day, this is who I am. And doing this, like making up things with spirals and pictures, and instead of being so tied into a format. And I'm going out and just like doing things. I think we always need to be disrupted. And sometimes what we considered a negative, like to me, like I would never like go to a bar alone and drink. That's crazy. Or like not read my goals or not go to the gym. But any kind of disruption is expansive. And to me, that's what play is. It's an energy. It's not like now we're going to play a game, although it can be, but it's really like dislodging the rigidity when you can tell it's not serving you anymore. and
Yeah.
being willing to be just like, okay, I'm going to try drawing because I'm terrible at it. And what that does is like makes it okay to do something new. And
Mhm.
it's, you know, I mean,
That's transformational play right there.
what?
Yes.
Transformational play. You're actually
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So
full,
it's
but
just
you're
introducing that energy to like, okay, not judging it, or this is where something used to be bad or wrong or not helpful. Now it just might be the doorway to where you need to go. You don't know if you don't try.
And that was going to be the thing I was going to say, is getting out of the judgment of it, because how many times do we have belief systems or something that we thought or concluded a certain way in the past where it's like, well, maybe that's not actually true. And
Yeah.
how can I really look at this in a different way or see things from a different perspective that are actually going to work for me, right? In where I'm at. And really, what is life trying to show me right now? Because like you're saying, Michelle, you just kind of hit this place where it was like it just wasn't working anymore, and you just change it up. So it's like, what is it that can be different, where you might have judged before as wrong or bad, and now you get to be like, okay, well, I wonder what this is about. I wonder how I can have fun with this and really play with it and open up so much more in my life for receiving and for having fun and play and joy and abundance and all the things, right?
Yeah, it's like curiosity has to replace the judgment.
Yes.
Movement to happen. And I think like for me to share that is a vulnerable thing. And yet when you talk about it, it creates movement, as long as you're like not in, I just think there's so much value in interacting with other people right now for everyone, especially coming out of this kind of forced isolation that the world has been in. Anytime you feel vulnerable, it's like play with it. It's be curious enough to just take that risk. I think it's always a doorway.
Yeah. Well, and especially that's what's awesome when you have a good coach too, because you have a safe space for that vulnerability to land, right?
Yes.
So that's another thing that I love about coaching and talking about my own experiences with being coached and being able to be super vulnerable and maybe even say things or have them come out in ways that I wouldn't probably say to the average person, right? But they have a safe space for me, and they know that it's just like, it just needs to have a place to be heard or seen or whatever for me to like move past it. And that's what's really great about when you have a really great coach that you feel safe with, is you can have that too. And that's when it feels like magic, because once you are allowed to be seen and heard and get that vulnerability out in the open, then that's like where the shifts happen.
Yeah.
And
And
coaches,
magic.
It's
some
magic, baby.
it is.
Oh, what did you say, Tiff? You cut out.
Oh, I said coaches are also notoriously great for being those people that are disruptors. They come in and they disrupt you. You're in a behavioral pattern, in a limiting belief, or they're going to call you out when you're not investing in yourself the way you came in with the intention to. And I love being disrupted all the time, because it gives you an opportunity to be aware of like, okay, I'm aware of what's happening here, but what it all comes down to is how I'm going to react to this. And when you learn to react in a way of ease and play, and it's so much easier to flow through life, and things just open up to you. Like, talk about abundance. Abundance is a real freaking thing. And abundance is so real. But when you are in these confined boxes that we put ourselves in, it's really hard to receive things.
Yeah.
This
So
is why, like, all this stuff
disruptors are
you
great.
do, the really physical stuff. I mean, that's the kind of thing that honestly saved my life so many times, is challenging myself physically when I was like, if you're challenged in any area of life, if you subject yourself to a physical challenge outside your comfort zone, it can just break you through out of, like the business issue or the relationship or issue or whatever, because we do get stuck in these subconscious patterns. We might not even understand it. And then you go out for a run or you go try and do something that normally you wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
That is a magic wand for sure.
I think that's part of like really working with your nervous system too, and maybe stuck energies as well, because we all, and I mean, anybody who's ever been traumatized, which I would say is everybody on planet Earth has been traumatized at some point or another.
Planet Earth, or you will be traumatized repeatedly.
So, you gotta move that trauma, that energy trauma out of your body and out of your nervous system, and allow your nervous system to really have a break, so that you can actually relax and you can receive the peace and the space and the ease and the joy, So I love that you brought up the body part, because that's huge.
It's so often not. Here's something that I found, though, working with a lot of women, like midlife women. There's this thing about self-care. And I'm all about, like, I just have the greatest pedicure right now. Like, I'm all about that stuff, like the massage and the meditation and the candles and the like nurturing and all that. But it's a faster road to like hook yourself to Tiffany and go jump off a cliff. Well, because you will immediately reset in a way that you don't. And I'm not saying that's always right, but there's a tendency for people to want to contract and be like self-care, when in fact self-care is like just break through that fear, and then who am I? Like, where am I standing?
So you had mentioned like an experience that you have had with a coach or people that, you've impacted in your own practice. And I think about the last retreat I did. There were two women who really stood out. One was in their 60s and one was in their 50s. And one just got out of a relationship of 15 years and her partner was cheating on her. And she had gotten a little heavier and she was just beating herself up. So she came in the retreat. She thought she couldn't do hard things. Didn't think she could go on the hike. We put her in that group and we blessed upon her, and we let her be seen and heard and received and understood. And we also provide a bigger picture for her and realize that is not your only world. And you are capable of so, and just that energy and that love and support made her join those sunrise meditations and walk up that vertical hill. And it may have taken longer. Someone was always there by her side supporting her. But when she got to that top of the mountain, she thought she could do fucking anything. Yes. And that was a priceless. And then coming down and being sore, she's like, I haven't been sore like this in so long. I feel alive again. Because guess what? If your soul is dying, it's going to be really hard to move forward and thrive in any aspect of your life. And that's why I am so passionate about transformational play. Freaking have fun doing it. And you can do really hard things. You really can. And when you do it, you realize it's not as hard as you thought it was. It wasn't as scary as you thought it was. And it sure as hell isn't as scary when you have a group of people around there supporting you and few that have already walked that path ahead of you. I love that you bring the body. The body is so important.
And this is what we live for. Mm-hmm. We live for this, like being the catalyst for that will change her life. Mm-hmm.
That story gave me chills, Tiffany.
Yeah.
To listen to her breakthrough.
So this is the opposite though. I had the 50-year-old who had the trouble moving around, mobility. And then I had the 60-year-old who was insanely active, like hiking 20 miles, no problem. Right. So her breakthrough is, have you ever sat still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever let your nervous system calm down? Because let me tell you, she was upset because she felt like she wasn't being challenged physically. But let me tell you, she was being challenged more than she ever had been challenged, because she had to sit with herself and she had to breathe, and so much came out. I had no relationship with my mom and dad. My son was a heroin addict. I feel like I failed as a mother. All these things came out. And she felt like she ruined the trip. I'm like, oh, this is what this trip is all about. It's the breakthrough. Yeah. Like, she's like, never told anyone this. I feel so understood. Yes, you are not alone in anything.
Oh,
People have been there.
Isn't that crazy how many of us have stories like that where we never told anybody stuff, right? And we held onto it by ourselves in our bodies, like for decades, right?
She really felt like I was the only one that could understand her. And I'm like, I understand you, but guess what? I can name a few people from this party who have been exactly where you've been.
Yeah.
Depression, thoughts of suicide. You look perfect. You look healthy. You look strong. You look like your life is amazing. You've got the property. You've got the husband. You've got the kids, and you look like you're thriving, but really you're dying inside. And that's your deepest secret, is you're dying inside. So, it's okay to crack your shell and not have to hold that facade of always being so damn strong all the time.
Yeah. And bravo to everybody who does that, because honestly, every time you step into your own healing, you heal the collective also.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So it's seriously the most unselfish thing you can do is actually take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's the most unselfish thing.
Yeah. The most unselfish thing is to take care of you and to be able to have those breakthroughs and those healing moments that, bring on transformation and yeah, it's amazing. And it's not just for you, it's for everybody around you and the collective, because we're all connected. And it seems crazy, but I've seen it happen multiple times in group settings, where people that didn't say a word had huge transformations, just like the ones that we're doing all the talking, right? Mm-hmm. So it's so powerful.
And another one
powerful
is I'm this lady who's also in my wilderness first responder training. She has a daughter who's 11, and she says, my daughter's a mess. And, I find myself being just like my mother, going into her room and screaming and yelling and saying, pick up your shit. And my husband comes to the room and gives me that look that my dad used to give my mom. And I was like, interesting. Let's talk about that. How do you wish your mom would have handled that? And she's like, well, I wish she would. Da, 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 da. And I go, okay, well, what if you handled it that way? And it was like, something that could seem so simple for anyone else but she just never even thought that occurred to her, because she was so run by her emotions. Just, this is what you see what monkey do what monkey see, thing. And just to change the perspective, what would you wish your mother would do? Well, why don't you just do that?
By the way, that is actually an energetic tool to change the past.
Absolutely. Yeah. Alchemizing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were energetically changing what happened when you go back and you address a situation the way that you wish it had actually happened. Mm-hmm. And it's so powerful. So I invite anybody to try that. If they have a past situation they cannot get past, or they feel like it's sticking them, go back and relive it in the way that you wish it had actually happened. And you will be energetically changing the past.
Mm-hmm. Pull out that file and look at it. This is how it went. But I have this really magical pen, and now I'm just going to rewrite it. This is what Michelle is so brilliant at. I'm going to rewrite this story. And now I'm back, and this is the way it really happened.
Yep.
And you've completely out the relationship.
Yep.
Healing yourself, you're healing your mother, you're healing your mother's mother, you're also not bringing more trauma into the world. You're not going to traumatize your daughter or your son or your relationship or your partner or yourself.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So beautiful.
Michelle, how did you get passionate about vision?
Say that again.
What brought you so passionate about vision?
Okay, I'm happy to speak to that, but I want to mention that everything that you guys are talking about, I just keep thinking about the January retreat that we have. And I'm not like pitching here, but when you come to the retreats that we have will exponentially, rapidly, playfully easily allow you to step into whatever your vision is and become aware of what it really is, what that thing is in your heart. So I just want everyone to know that we do this, because the groups, like, transformation in a group setting is inevitable. And often, like, I know I had a mentor that used to always say, you get whatever you come for, right?
Yeah.
And that's true, because our expectations can guide us, but there's just this collective magic that what you really get when you come to something like that is the very thing you need, even if you weren't aware of it. Like how, like everything Tiffany is sharing, it's just, I'm so excited about it. So as you were talking, I was like, just imagining what it's gonna be like. So vision. I mean, to me, revisioning, like the whole revisioning thing is about what you guys were talking about. It's literally, there's a method by which you can revise what has happened in your life. And then to me, vision, I mean, every business I've built was from a vision, not from strategy. Like the vision led it, which is partially why I was always out there, like, you know, I learned the hard way in a lot of things, but I built 2 schools based off of vision, and vision often comes out of need. Like you see the need. And, but to Tiffany's point, you're either going to be pushed by trauma or pulled by a vision. And I have built businesses, my gosh, you guys, like one of them, it was a magical story, because the vision was so clear to me. I literally could not see anything else. And the people that would come out of nowhere and offer their brilliance and their services free of charge. I mean, that's a whole nother story, but vision pulls in the future, and it pulls you to your possibility. And when you don't have one, it sucks, because everything is this arduous. It's like what I was saying before. It becomes like, okay, well, here's the structure I gave myself. I'm going to go work at Microsoft and I'm going to do A, B, C, D, because, you know, that's the strategy. When in fact, it's sitting inside of you. It is your divine blueprint that is just waiting to be acknowledged, and it will pull you in a playful, purposeful way. And I think vision is everything. It's what allows you to move from pain to possibility. It's what allows you to leap over, you know, the things that normally would just crush you.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta have a vision.
It's so true though. I mean, it really is. If you have no vision, it's like you are just on autoplay. You're just automatically getting up. You're on thing day in, day out. And if you're feeling stagnant, it's because it's like, 1, you don't have a vision, or 2, your vision's not big enough. And guess what? You think of all the people that created all these incredible things in life, you know, empires, schools, businesses, impact the world, no matter what it was. It's like, it's because they had a vision, you know, and they're all normal people just like us, skin and bones and blood, and senses, and some didn't. But it all comes from a vision. It really does.
Yeah, because people focus on the how am I going to do it, you know, and then that question feeds doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And doubt is the destroyer, the destroyer of your dreams. So you can literally learn to unburden yourself through play of doubt, delay, fear. And when you do that, like I truly believe we're not meant to carry burdens. We're meant to like sacrifice the burden and step into authority to be the author. And that's the pin you're talking about, where you can pick up the pin or let it be a magic wand or let it be telepathy or like whatever. You can do whatever you want in your imagination. You can take what you want, be who you want. And that is where the vision, it's a scientific, proven, playful way to live.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's so much fun even just talking about it.
It's
Yeah.
You know, the word magic means it comes from the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
I love words so much. And yeah, you're in control. You're like, when you decide you want to be who you are, it's as simple as that. And incredibly difficult. Right?
Yeah. It is one of your most powerful tools in your toolbox. It really is. It is the most powerful tool you have in your toolbox.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the cool thing is, like, once you do one hard thing, you're like, ooh, what's the next coming up? What's coming up next? You're like, oh, I can get through this. Like, I have a goal. I want to do an expedition in Alaska in the winter with sled dogs. Crazy, but my heart really wants to do that. I have no idea how.
I was just thinking about a new parachute. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
But
I'm so sorry, Tiffany. I'm totally making fun of your sled dog. Like, of course you thought of that. Who thinks of that?
Well, but it's so funny. This is it. People will laugh at your visions.
Of course.
They will laugh, but it means something to you, so it's fucking legit.
It is.
It is.
So go on. I didn't mean to interrupt. Well, I kind of did mean to interrupt you, but go ahead. So
so I have no idea how I'm doing it, but I have made a little vision board for it. I see that sled every day. I see those dogs every day when I wake up, and I'm just putting the energy in that direction. And I don't sit there and meditate on it. If there's something really important I want, I'll sit there and I'll really be super intentional. But the fact that I take the time and just look at it every day, the energy is still forming in my mind, whether I'm aware.
Yep.
And what ends up a couple years by, and I go, I did it. Just because I put that energy in that direction from that vision. Mm-hmm. Something simple like that. But if I wanted to accelerate the process, I would hire an Alaskan expedition leader and make it happen next year.
The dog coach, the Alaskan, what are they? There's got to be a coach for that.
Oh, there's a coach. We got to find one and put them in the collective.
We just haven't interviewed them yet, but I guarantee that will be materializing right before our eyes.
I was just thinking the same thing.
And she's going to take her day and go, oh, you're not going to believe it. I met this crazy coach who's like done all the. Yeah, it's pretty.
So I'm so excited for Sedona. You guys have no idea.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, me three.
Sedona is just such a magical place anyway. It's just one of my favorite places to go. So yeah, just being there in itself is going to be amazing. Yeah.
Yes, everyone is invited to come. We don't have a lot of spaces though. So although we can always figure out a way. The people that are really meant to be there, we will figure out a way for you to be there.
Absolutely.
Out to us and learn about it, and I'll post the link in the comments too. And what else, you guys? Are you going to start boxing now, Tiffany?
Oh, it's so funny. So in this wilderness class, there's this guy. He's like 6'5". I don't know, probably weighs about like 300 pounds. He was one of my patients today. And it's just so funny, like being a woman, I have like these little grasshopper arms.
I don't think you have grasshopper arms.
But they're strong as hell.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw you punching that bag.
So, and that's just another thing. Like people always underestimate you. And I'm like, bring it on, underestimate me. I love being underestimated.
Yeah.
It's like I fuel myself with that. I don't think that's a really healthy fuel, but we're incredible human beings. There's nothing we can't do. We put our mind and heart to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, isn't it? There are just like there's all these different ways to play. There are different ways that we allow ourselves to have the energy to create what we want. And I understand what you're talking about because oh my God, most of my life was like that. You tell me I can't do it, and then I'm going to do it. Like I needed that impetus because like for whatever reason, I just needed it and I would funnel it. And then something, Bethany, that you said the other day made me think just about that, I mean, that's like healthy competition, right? You're pulling on this energy and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go do, and that can be super fun energy. And then we were also talking about when you change like your values around a specific thing, maybe shifts, you don't have the same motivation. We were talking about in terms of working out or whatever, like to look good for a certain reason.
Oh, right.
And so
like if you don't need validation for your appearance, like what's your motivation to work out or put makeup on or whatever, right?
Yes, like it's always shifting. So sometimes like that energy you're talking about is really playful and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go kick ass. And then sometimes that goes away. And then you're like, oh wow, where do I generate that? That's what happened the other day when I called Bethany. I was like, I don't know where it is, but you can work through that and then come to this new energy. And it's so fun to understand that we don't ever end. It's like, oh, there's a whole nother impetus for this.
Yeah.
It's not
like like my mom, she had brain surgery, like massive arachnoid. She died on the table. She came back to life. Well, unfortunately, it's one of those unfortunate things.
She literally
died on the table. She flatlined on the table. Overweight, cancer, diabetes, huge arachnoid. Like chances were very slim. She said, "What the hell? Why not just try it anyways?" Went in. Unfortunately, this is another situation that was really unfortunate. It took something like that for my mom to wake the fuck up. And so now my mom is woken up. She's written those 2 books. She's constantly taking trips and traveling. She's doing hard things, limited in some things, but she is living like she's dying because she literally was living and died, but never did the living.
Wow. Yes.
And don't wait for that.
Yeah.
If you're in a shitty marriage and you feel like trapped with your kids, let me tell you, you can still start living. It's really clearing all that, getting rid of those old identities and those, working on yourself first, separating the husband or the wife or the partner and the children, and really honing in on yourself, focus on yourself. And once you get this all harmonized and balanced, then you can start pouring into everything else. Think they can just start fixing their part. No, all starts here.
Well, then, and the other thing about that too is what most people do is they think that like divorces or whatever, splitting up is the answer, and they find a new partner and then they have the same issues or similar issues again. And it's like, you have to work on yourself first, and then you'll know whether or not your partner, I mean, unless it's like an abusive situation, right? But like, there's obviously some situations where you should definitely get out of it, but like, you'll know for sure once you start working on yourself if it really isn't, you guys just aren't a match anymore, and it's time to move forward. But oftentimes I've seen a lot of people that work on themselves and like end up better and stronger, and and it's really cool to see that.
And that's another thing when you work on your, especially people who are looking for partners or looking to have a relationship, it's like when you make that stellar relationship within yourself, you are going to attract that stellar partner. When you're in
Yes,
your
yes.
broken, you're going to attract that shit. So, you know, if people say, oh, well, I want a husband who's this and that, I was like, well, are you in that frequency? Because if you're not in that frequency, it's going to be really hard to align with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You guys, I think we've been on for a really long time. I don't know.
I feel like we can close it up. Say good night.
The donut.
So much fun.
What?
The donut, baby.
Donut.
Oh, I'm looking for.
I do want to I want to say something about that too before we go, because I've worked with women, quite a number of them who spent, you know, a long time working on themselves in relationships. And I think that a lot of really empathic women can get caught in the trap of doing that. And eventually, yes, they get to this point where it's like, I think I see what's going on, I should leave. But I mean, I have another client that just recently finally left a relationship. And from the time I knew her, it took like almost 5 years. And I've been in relationships like that. And I know many, many, many women who, you know, it's like your partner will keep saying, well, you've got to work on yourself, or you're trying, and only one person does. Like, so I'm just saying, permission to leave.
Oh, absolutely.
Permission to leave, like, be earlier, and then if it's meant to be, it'll come back together. Because
there's never one right answer.
Exactly.
There's never one right answer. Yeah.
Working on yourself can be just as much of a trap. It's like the shiny object syndrome, you know, like more and more and more and more personal development, whatever. So,
well, let me speak to that, to my experience with that. When I work on myself and I feel like I go to a new level, I feel like my husband meets me there. And I think that's the difference. If you're doing like the work, right, whatever that is, right, the work, the healing work, whatever you're looking at, healing and moving through, and they meet you there, I think that's a huge thing, right? If they're still back in the same old story of, you know, telling you what you need to do and telling you how you're wrong, that might be something to look at, you know? So yeah, I appreciate you saying the other side too, Michelle, because there really isn't ever just one right answer for everyone.
And then I can say I look at me and my partner, and it's like same person, same job, loves them, like growing's not really on the radar. But who am I to judge? Like, I love that person. I know that person's a good person. They have good values. We have the same values, except for I'd like to continue growing, and he's completely content with where he is. And sometimes I'm like, well, maybe something's wrong with me because I'm not so content with where I am. But no, I'm just an avid learner. And that was a hard part that he had to accept in me too. It was like, I like to constantly be learning and moving forward and challenging myself. And he'd like, can you just be happy with where you are? And so like having that mutual respect and love for each other, and just allowing ourselves to be who we are and not hold judgment is also another.
I love that.
And this is why like coaching is such a unique relationship, because it's really not about, it's, you know, a coach, they're never going to tell you what to do. If it's like a business strategy and you're involved in a strategic, you know, lead gen or something for your business, that's one thing. But really coaching is really about helping you to see whatever you need to see to be aligned, so that you internally make those decisions. It's never like an outside in.
Yeah.
It's really pulling out from you your inner wisdom and your alignment with your destiny and what you need to do. So I don't know. I feel like all of this needs to be said because you never know who's hearing what. When there are conversations like this, and depending on where you are, you can hear something and be like, just take it in a different way. So at the end of the day, it's really you. It's like me, myself, and I, and head and heart, and listening to your own discernment.
Yeah, absolutely. Trusting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, Michelle, you're going to post the link to the Sedona retreat in the comments of this.
Yes!
Everybody. Okay, awesome.
Everyone to come, and yeah, it's going to be so much fun, and so I just can't. I think we're all we can't wait.
Mm-hmm. It's a rebirth. It really is. It's so much deeper than we are so much more than our human bodies and our experiences. And this
dance music here.
I know.
Yeah, it got really loud for a minute. It's kind of hard to hear you.
I know it's that time on a Friday where the lights dim and the music gets louder. But what's really weird is like there's just hardly anyone here anyway. So I guess I could go be like a dance coach. Hello.
Yeah, there you go.
And some people get pissed off about that. Some people go like, who needs a coach? Like people can be their own coaches in their life. And it's like, oh man, yeah, but who was your coach? Well, my mom. Okay, well, what happened in your life? Well, my mom did this. Okay, well, there you go. Times. And it's like, no, we can all learn something. We can all grow because all of us have something unique and special and have experienced something. And if we can make it easier for someone else and show someone else the way, then that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, I love our conversations. Thanks, you guys. This has been so much fun.
It's been really fun. And what are you guys going to do the rest of the night?
I have no idea. My husband's still working on the house, so I got to go see if he's done working.
You're building a house with the 3 little pigs.
Yes.
Finish up my internal bleeding test.
That sounds fun.
So I'll be 3 hours in front of a computer.
Okay, cool. I'll tell you all tomorrow what I did tonight. Ciao. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Baby, I don't know.
Now we want to know.
I don't know. I'm going to go disrupt a college town.
Woo! Love it.
I don't know how. I'll tell you about it after I know.
All right. Love you guys.
I love you too. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
You too.